Hello everyone, Eldon Yoder here with Conversations with Yoders Farm, and I'm joined today, as per the usual, with my brother Lowell. And today we are going to talk about, we're right at the end of strawberry season, so we have kind of a list of things that are common misconceptions or things that people ask about that we thought would be interesting to talk about. So I guess we'll jump right in. The first one is that if I pick strawberries while they're just a little bit green, they'll go ahead and ripen. You want to take that and unwrap it a little bit?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me back on the podcast.
Yeah, right. I don't know who else I'd have.
I know that's the thing. You obviously are running out of, or you don't have any other options. That's why you keep having me back.
No.
Maybe next week you'll have a better replacement.
I think you and Dad should do one here before too long.
All right. So,
anyway.
Picking unripe berries. No, they just won't really ripen up and turn. They may turn slightly. But it's not going to turn into a nice sweet berry in a couple of days.
Change.
That's
that
correct.
Much, yeah.
Yeah. So always better to pick nice ripe berries. That's the best.
That's the name of the game.
Now, I almost hesitate to say this, but there is one variety that we have noticed that it will turn a little bit. That's the Albion variety we talked about last week.
We planted like maybe 18 rows or so of that in our pick your own patch this year.
But as a general rule, pick ripe berries. You'll be much happier.
Even the Albion's a good ripe one.
Right.
Tends to be ahead of
we don't pick unripe Albions either, exactly. And it's always best not to.
All right. That is the first one. Let's jump to rain. A lot of times early in the season, we'll get people say, nice rain we had, or are you glad for the rain, or looking forwards to the rain, or whatever. How does rain affect us, I guess, is the question.
Right. Well, people hear farmers, I guess, complain about dry conditions and lack of rain, and they naturally assume that rain is good. Actually, they hear farmers complain about too much rain, too, especially lately, haven't they? But anyway, in regards to strawberries, rain doesn't really improve the strawberries, doesn't really help because the beds are, we talked about this I think before, but the beds are covered in plastic. Very little actual rain gets down to the roots, so having a lot of rains in March and early April isn't really going to help your strawberry crop. I think everyone kind of knows if you have a lot of rain during picking season, it's a bad thing, but even those early rains aren't going to improve the plants that much. The irrigation is all done with those little drip tapes underneath the plastic, like I talked about earlier.
Very good. Moving along. If you're listening to this and you're wondering why we're kind of going rapid fire, it's because I need to leave in just a few minutes, so we're going to roll on through a number of these. Talk about berry size and how that affects sweetness.
Okay, a lot of people kind of have this idea that smaller berries tend to be sweeter, and there is some truth to this. It's not totally a misconception. They associate sweeter berries with end-of-season berries. End-of-season berries tend to be smaller. However, you can have a nice sized berry, and if you're feeding it properly, it'll taste extremely good. Mm-hmm. So just because a berry is small doesn't mean it's somehow going to taste any better than a larger berry. Yeah. And there is, like I said, towards the end of the season, they do get sweeter. I mean, the berries that we've had out there in the last day or two are just extremely good.
All right. You have one written down here that it takes a week or two for fields to ripen.
Right. So is what we like to do. We rotate between the fields. We'll often pick a field one day, and people will see our signs, to stay out of one field, and they'll say, "Oh, when are you going to open up that field? A week or two?" And I guess I was just saying, a lot of people think it takes that long for, a field that's starting to ripen to really fully ripen. And that's actually not true. Strawberries ripen quickly. If you rest a field for a day, maybe two, you'll have a lot of, if you're in the season, obviously we're not talking about the beginning as they are ripening, before we open, but in season, you can pick a field, you can pick it hard, and in a couple of days you'll have many more red berries in there. They can really change almost overnight. And it's what I thought would be really cool to do sometime, if I can ever get you to do it, is do a time lapse. I would love to do a time lapse of a berry over a period of 24 hours and watch it.
And how much it might change within.
Yeah, it can go from, just turning berry to fully red very quickly, especially with warm nighttime temperatures.
Very good. All right, now we're going to kind of get into the dangerous territory, potentially. A lot of people talk to us about strawberries being on the dirty dozen list or being unhealthy and highly sprayed. And then on the other side, we have people who come to our farm. We are a conventional strawberry farm, and they kind of believe that we're organic. So let's talk about that a little bit, I guess.
All right, yeah. So you said we're not organic, and that is correct. We're a conventional farm. That means we do some spraying. It is very difficult to find organic local strawberries. I'm interested in this field, obviously, and in other farms. I know of maybe one farm in the state of Virginia that has maybe one organic field. There likely are others maybe that I'm not aware of, but the point is that it is extremely hard in our environment, in our East Coast growing conditions, to grow a fruit like a strawberry organically. If you're, some years it'll work, but then you have a rainy year and you're looking at almost a total crop loss. So I just don't think that's, I don't know, it just seems wasteful to me. I think some careful spraying is the better approach, and that's the approach we take.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people somehow think that strawberries are these heavily sprayed things, and I just don't think that's true.
Do you think even like ones that have been shipped a long ways, are they handled differently? Maybe, I don't know.
It's possible.
All we know for sure is what we do.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I just think local strawberries. You can read research and extension. They recommend sprays, especially during the bloom period. Not to say that an in-season spray never happens, but most of your spraying on strawberries is done before picking season, and we can only say, like I say, what we do. But I would definitely not call our strawberries highly sprayed.
All right,
and strawberries are healthy. They're low carb, fresh. I think you're better off eating fresh local produce, fruits. And wash it, but don't worry so much about what it might have been sprayed.
Yeah.
If you
they're
take good care
delicious
of your
too.
stuff.
So there's that side of things too.
There's that. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Next thing we should talk about. We often talk about, or people talk about, eating berries while they're in the field, and that's kind of an accepted practice. Is that okay? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. There are two answers to this. Food safety is a real thing. If you read the news, it's something that you hear about. It's something that farmers are really taking seriously, and we're actually facing regulations and things coming down the pike that affect this. So it's obviously something that we're thinking about. And the answer is, yeah, you really should wash your produce. That's what I do. That's what we do. So if someone asks, I always say, well, you really should wash strawberries. That's the book answer. That's the right answer. You should wash them before you eat them.
Just in general.
Not only from, we talked about sprays a little bit ago, but, hey, they're out in the field. They're animals. They're birds, there are things, that are out of our control.
Yeah.
So having said all that, we know that it's really hard to get out into a strawberry field and not eat a ripe strawberry, and I do the same thing. So I guess I'm being a little hypocritical there when I say it. It's always best to wash them, and that's what I tell people. Yeah. If you eat a strawberry and when you're out picking, it's okay. And very likely they probably have been washed by some rain in the not too distant past. Now, it's interesting, I'm a farmer. I grow strawberries and I sell my strawberries by the pound. So, that brings up interesting questions about people picking in the field, and obviously they're not paying for those berries. And something to think about if everyone does what you do, how many dollars of value is that going out in people's stomachs? We don't really begrudge people that, but it would add up over the season.
It is fascinating to see some really strawberry covered children's faces, especially when they come back out of the patch.
I have a 2-year-old daughter, and it's really hard to get her into a strawberry patch and out without her eating berries.
I just said maybe
comes with the territory.
Just keep your eyes on your kids in general is a good idea,
right? And
if you don't want them stuffing them in their face,
you
keep an eye on.
Don't want them to eat too many, get a bellyache or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, it's probably okay to do some sampling in moderation. I've also seen people with unpaid for buckets sitting down at a picnic table and just helping themselves. That's probably
it's fascinating to see quite a cross section of people who come out here, and 99% of people are 100% above board, and they're here to make this work for us. So I don't know. It's just fascinating to see people in a field.
And some people they literally are so conscientious that they will not eat a berry in the field until they get it paid for. I've seen plenty of people that do that.
Sure.
They have told their children no. So anyway, it's interesting. We appreciate all our customers.
Yeah, for sure. We don't begrudge folks who eat a berry or 2 or 7 while they're picking. All right, let's move on. One big misconception here is that we only take cash for what we sell. You want me to talk about that, I guess? Several years ago, I guess since the beginning almost, we started using Square, which allows us to take credit cards and debit cards. And so we can accept just about anything here. That's not how all farms are, but we are able to get internet down to the patch, so we do that. And I don't carry a lot of cash with me, so it's kind of silly to expect everybody else to only pay with cash. There's a couple more here. There's another common misconception, which we've talked about a little bit, but that we take plants multiple years in the patch.
Yeah, we treat our plants as annual plants. That means we mow them off at the end of the season. Some of the strawberry rows will get planted into pumpkins here in a couple of weeks, and some of them will get taken up. The plastic will get taken up. We'll work the land and put new berries back in. We plant new berries every fall. Less disease problems and so forth. We'll probably talk about that more in the future. But anyway,
sure. How about this one? People often think they're getting itchy while they're picking strawberries, and pretty sure it has to do with what we're spraying the strawberries with.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone thinks it's the sprays, but anyway, I mean, strawberries, the plants can make you itchy. That's just, it's the nature of the leaves. They can be a little abrasive.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I even get the same way sometimes when I'm picking my, your hands, what contacts the leaves, your arms gets itchy. I think, often during periods of dry weather, there's pollen dust lays on them, and some of it's that. Another thing, it is a field. There are weeds out there, and some people are actually more, I think, allergic to some of the weed. Like there's a weed called Carolina geranium that I know one of our pickers. Every time she would pick a spot that had some of those weeds in it, when they were blooming, she would, her nose would start running and so forth. So yeah, it's probably not anything we've sprayed. It's just the plants themselves.
And you're in nature. Yeah,
you are in nature. So
yeah. All right, just a few more here. We save the best picking for ourselves. What is that supposed to mean? You wrote this down.
Well, I think some people, we have a wholesale field that we pick ourselves, and every once in a while someone will see it and it looks nice and red, and it's not that many times these are the same varieties that are planted in the picayune field or it's the same thing. The advantage we have is we can rest it several days, 2 or 3 days. And we want it obviously to be worth our pickers' time because we're paying our pickers, and so it's the most efficient for us to wait about 3 days. So, yeah, it might look a little different than a pick your own patch, but it's really they're the same plants.
Yeah,
everything we treat everything the same. It's just that little break. Anyway,
yeah, and
we want our pickers to have great picking too. We rest the fields day to day. We try to do the best we can.
And these are sort of professional pickers, I guess you could say. So I mean they're good at what they do. They clean rows as they go down through them. It's not quite like the pick your own where you have all kinds of pickers.
Yeah, instead of they're picking out here for half a day, 6-7 hours. It's hard work.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure it's worth their time.
And the rows are clean after they're through there. That's mostly what I was trying to get at. All right. Let's see. There's a common misconception. I don't know if this one's too common, actually, but that small agritourism farms are kind of a ripoff, and we're looking for ways to take advantage of our customers.
Yeah. When I'm going into a small business or something, I may think, okay, they're going to be charge me more than a larger box store or whatever. They're just going to be more expensive. Or if it's a place you've never been, you're a little suspicious, maybe a little on edge, and every once in a while, we work the cash registers quite a bit, and we interact with customers, and you can kind of sense that a little bit. We are selling a product that is sold by weight, and we weigh stuff on the scales, and people sometimes wonder, okay, are they charging me for my container? Are they just punching the price in? And the answer is no. We always take off container weight, and we're trying to be very careful about that.
We're not trying to take advantage of people.
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
trying to be very fair to people.
Some people wonder about our buskets, and they
so
$1 a piece,
we sell buskets. It's a vented bucket for $1 a piece. We do that. We offer it because many people show up without containers. It costs us about $1. We're not really making money on it, but we feel it's fair to charge a customer if they're going to take it home, and then they're welcome to bring it back. We're not looking at it as some way to,
at the end of the day, we're
gouge somebody.
Not really making money on that. So it's a convenience for the customer more than anything.
Yeah, we try to be fair, and I think most people understand that. But I know how I am.
Some of these things, I think we're more self-conscious. Like we think people are thinking these things about us even more than they actually are.
Yeah. So I mean, just a general rule of thumb: you pick a gallon bucket, it's going to run you right around $10, and that, give or take, depending how many berries how you round it up, but it's not going to be a rip off.
Yeah. I guess we could talk about pricing.
It is a little, you're never quite sure when you go out to a field, exactly how many berries, and I think everyone comes back to the scales expecting the worst, It's going to be $50 or whatever. Well, no, probably not. It's just figure $10-11 for a gallon bucket, and you'll be okay.
Yeah. At some point we could talk about strawberry pricing, but maybe that's not something we want to get too far into. We raised our prices this year. There's a decent chance we'll raise them again in the near future, but we'll see. But at the end of the day, another thing on this list is that we are not getting rich. That's the misconception at times we feel, is that people think we're getting rich out here.
Well, you see a crowd on a Saturday, and a lot of berries are going out and so forth, and that's only a small part of what you see. You don't see the other 7, 8, 9 months of
it's a very short season
of work
compared to the
preparation,
rest of the year. Yeah.
Right? And there's significant financial outlay in planting a field, the plastic beds. All that is very expensive. The plants themselves are expensive, and we have to make it work to keep doing it every year. But we're not looking at it as a get rich scheme and trying to gouge people. We try to be fair to our customers and fair to ourselves too.
Yeah, exactly.
For the time that we put in.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are trying to make a living at this, so. Or you and Dad and Mom are. So
there you go.
And then the final one on the list, a common misconception, is that farmers are always grumpy, particularly strawberry farmers.
That's actually probably the only one that's true.
Yeah.
No, during strawberry season, sometimes the hours of sleep are short, and the days are long, and
stress can run pretty high on a very busy Saturday, say.
If the strawberry farmer walks by and he doesn't look like he's happy, maybe he's probably is. He just doesn't look like it.
Yeah, he just hasn't told his face about it yet. Yeah. No, in some ways you're seeing farmers in their most stressful times of the year, so just keep that in mind if you think they or we are grumpy. Anyway, I think that's it for this podcast. I need to leave here pretty soon. So anything else you want to say in closing?
Can't think of anything. One other one on the list was, they're picked out. It does happen sometimes at the end of a busy Friday, Saturday. We might be pretty low in berries, but I have found almost always an experienced picker that knows what they're doing is willing to work and
move the leaves,
look up under the plants, so they can go into a field. I don't care if it's the first day or if it's the last day, and they can find berries. So I think we covered them.
All right, very good. If we missed any common misconceptions that you've thought of, I don't know how you can let us know about them, but feel free to. Maybe leave it in your review as you're reviewing this podcast over on iTunes.
Or if there are any topics they would like us to talk about more in the future.
Sure, if you have something you'd like us to discuss on the podcast, you can send us an email over on the contact page of the website, yodersfarm.com, and you can also find more information about the podcast there. If you're listening for the first time, feel free to subscribe in your podcast player, whatever that is, and we will be back in about 2 weeks with another episode. So till then, take care, and we'll see you.